Hello there, welcome back to another guide from SC2 Improve. I am Wardy and I'm going to be taking you today for a ZvP opening which involves a +1 melee Zergling-Ravager style of play early on in the game with a moodless transition towards the mid game. The build is designed to give you a strong mid game and a strong late game transition into ultralisks and other tech. If you enjoy the video, make sure you hit that subscribe and like button, and of course if you want the full written build order and written guide, it's available down below in the description. Or you can also find a link right now to the top right hand side of your screen. Guys, let's get into the game. It's a little bit funny because this build has been so popular in the metagame in ZvP and Legacy of the Void so far that I've actually brought this video out a little bit late because Pig just put out a guide on a very similar opening to this, which you can check out on the teamliquid.net strategy forums. And he kind of writes up a bit of a basic build order, and you can see a game of him playing it and discussing it as he plays it. So do make sure to check that out as well if you want to really kind of learn this style of play. It really is a very popular way to open, and variations of it are very popular as well. And I think it's just because it's got so much adaptability. In this game, we're going to be looking at a moodless tech switch from the opening, and that works really nicely because you're going to have a +1 melee upgrade early in the game, and Zergling-Ravager to kind of get you through the early stages, get you through the early aggression, also allow you to put on some aggression if you feel the need to, if you feel a chance to. But otherwise, you are going to be just looking to utilize that Ling upgrade later in the game. So first of all, if you play a Ling Muta in the mid game, already that Ling upgrade is going to be super useful because you're going to have it on your Zerglings, which are going to keep on massing with the Mutalisks. If you play a different kind of mid-game, such as a Hydra Lurker mid-game, that upgrade is not going to be as useful until you get to the very late game when you're getting the Ultralisks out onto the field. So, you know, I do like the Moodle tech switch into the mid-game better, I think. But if you want to check out some other ways of playing out the mid-game, I mean, you can pretty much play out any sort of mid-game style you would like. It's just that melee upgrade with some of them isn't going to synergize quite as well. But we did see at DreamHack sort of playing a opening like this into the Hydralisk Lurker composition, and then in towards a couple of Vipers to help him get to the Ultralisk count, where he's got them melee upgrades continuing to come into the game. At the same time, sometimes sort of said, okay, I'm just going to go straight to Hive and straight into Ultralisk. So there's a lot of ways to experiment with this opening, and that's what I like about it so much. It's a really great opening to learn how to do, because from there you can test out multiple styles. If you get bored of one style, you can very quickly, maybe not quickly learn a different style completely, but you're able to try out a different style at least and have some fun with the game, which is always a positive for any build that I try to do anyways. I've been having a lot of fun trying a bunch of different stuff badly on the ladder. So far we haven't really seen too much from Nurture. A couple of Lings getting in here. They don't really see too much interest at this point in the game. Nurture is opened with a hatch, pool, hatch, then his gas. You can open into however you really want, as long as you end up with 3 hatcheries. The timings will be slightly different, but you could open 3 hatch before pool. You could open a hatch, gas, pool, hatch. You know, whatever you want to do. If you feel like you need a faster Zergling speed, go hatch, gas, pool. If you feel like it's a larger map you don't need that spawning pool so early, you want to take a risk, go 3 hatch before pool. Whatever it is, you'll get the same setup going, just at a slightly different time. One of the things Nurture does with this build that I'd highly suggest you do, because it really helps out with your scouting, is he gets this Overlord and morphs it into kind of Ventral Sacs. So he gets the Ventral Sacs upgrade on this one Overlord, and Lings will get into this, and this is going to allow him to scout out the entire main base. And of course, scouting in ZvP is very, very important. You always want to know what your opponent's doing, and you want to be able to start reacting to what your opponent's doing. Is he playing macro? If so, you want to continue to make drones and tech up a little bit more. If he's not gotten any natural gases, then you're going to want to start making units immediately. If you see that he's got natural gases, but it looks as though he's got a lot of gateways coming up as well, time to start making units as well. So it's all about the scouting, and I'm not going to be able to go in depth with the scouting in this guide, but in general, it's just your general ZvP scouting. You want to create opportunities to scout, try and get as much information as you can, so that you know how you want to prepare, how you want to follow up with. You know, is it going to be more drones? Is it going to be units because your opponent's being too greedy and you want to punish that? That's the sort of questions you want to be asking yourself when you are creating these scouting opportunities for yourself. This game, Nurture's seen a fast third, so he's saying, okay, I'm just going to tech up, take the rest of my gases here. I'm going to drone up a little bit more, get up to my full 3 base saturation. I'm going to drop my 4th base in a moment as well. And that's because he's seen the 3 bases of his opponent, so he knows it's a macro style of play. And that's, again, so important. So, again, scouting's very important here, and you just have to put your kind of usual ZvP scouting knowledge into play when doing this opening. We'll talk a little bit more about dealing with all-ins when we get to another clip, which I want to show you. For now, we're going to talk about the more macro-orientated follow-up from this opening. So, again, we're not really going to see Nurture really have to do too much. So he can very easily, very happily get up to 3 base saturation. He's then going to actually decide to make some units in this game to try and pressure a little bit. But you don't have to do that. I mean, as long as you're comfortable that your opponent's not moving across the map aggressively towards you, which you should know about because you've got Zerglings which are highly mobile, great for leaving out on the map to spot move-outs. As long as you know that's not happening, you can just drone up to whatever drone number you're comfortable with in the mid-game, saturate that 4th base gas, get that 4th base saturated. Nurture cuts through a little bit here because his 4th base isn't ready just yet, obviously. So he makes a few units and he's going to look to pressure with them. It will be a little bit unsuccessful. And we're actually, talking about this as a Zergling-Ravager opening, we haven't seen Ravagers yet, and that's just because Nurture hasn't needed to make them. And that just makes his Spire transition, his Mutalisk transition here, that much stronger, because he hasn't had to spend gas on Ravagers. That means more gas for Mutalisks. As his 4th base comes up, we're going to see him put on, again, a little bit of pressure, just to see if he can pick off maybe a sentry or two. His roach speed, his roach speed and lair was a little bit late, so he could have had that roach speed a little bit sooner. This attack's not going to go so well, but with the roach speed up, that attack might do a little something. Mostly just keep the map control, put a little bit of pressure on, and make sure you're not going to die while your Mutalisks are still just on the way up. So again, once that Spire finishes, you're going to see plenty of gas banked up for Nurture because he hasn't had to make many Ravagers this game. He's been making mostly just Zerglings. And that means he can just pump it straight into 11 Mutalisks, 12 Mutalisks. And from here, it's just a straight up simple ZvP mid-game. You've got that +1 melee upgrade to work with. And as you head in towards the later stage of the game, your plan is probably to get into a position where you're comfortable, that you're safely going to be able to pop down an infestation pit and go into Hive. And probably head in towards Ultralisks because of the melee upgrades early on that you've got. Continue the melee upgrades as well during the mid-game. And then you can also go in towards Infestors, and once you get to that Ultra stage of the game, you can start the tech switch into the Greater Spire as well, which is also a big positive of having this Spire up early on. As we see these meters come across the map, I mean, again, from here it's just a straight up standard ZvP mid-game. Whatever composition you want to play, that's where you're at now. So let's jump into a different game and have a little bit of a look at what it's like when you actually have more of an all-in coming your way, and why this opening really is so adaptable, flexible, why it's so useful to be used in the matchup. Now, this opening isn't just going to give you a free win against any sort of aggression. It is all about scouting and, of course, reacting, as it always is in ZvP. As you can see, I mean, I just pointed out, the scouting here from Sort of in this game has been pretty much spot on. He scouted the natural gases, the lack of it, so he's had an idea that this attack's going to be coming in. He's had that Overlord drop play going in once again, and he's been able to just be massing up units. You can see he stopped at a much lower drone count than what we saw in the previous game, about 48 or so. So it's all about scouting and using chances as a scout, sending them Overlords in at about 3 minutes 30 seconds, or getting something into the base at about 3:30 to identify the natural gases, to see, is he going to be all enemy super fast? If he is, then you've got that early roach run. You can get a couple of Ravagers in. You've got them Lings and that upgrade finishing for later attacks as well. And this is a great example of how the setup here with just a few Ravagers, Roaches and Lings can be so great defensively. Already we saw some force fields being popped here. He's been able to buy time to get a Spinecrawler, which will tank a little bit. The Lings now have +1 melee, which means they're great at tanking, but also very good at dealing with all this damage. Ravagers can target down that Warp Prism as well, and while it doesn't go down here because he didn't quite have enough Ravager shots, you need 4 to take down the Warp Prism. You will see it go down in a second or two, and the army is just so strong because the reinforcing Lings, which come in so quickly, have that extra little bit of oomph, which you don't usually see Lings have because of the +1 melee, and that really does help out in the defense. Scouting is the #1 thing to be good at to be successful with this opening. Being able to identify an attack and cut drones at the correct time will help you go a long way with this build. That's going to wrap this up for now, guys. If you do want to read about this in a bit more detail, please do make sure you head on over to the written guide, which is, again, linked down below in the description. I hope you do enjoy, and do let me know, of course, if you try this out on the ladder and how it goes for you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and of course, if you like the video, make sure you share it with your friends and hit that like button. And of course, if you want to see more content from SE2 Improve, make sure you check out our website, or just hit the subscribe button here on YouTube. Guys, until next time, have fun and good luck on the ladder. Hello there, guys, I am Wardy, and I'm here today to bring you another build order guide. This time we're going to be looking at some ZvT, and we're going to be looking at an aggressive Roach Ravager opening. Now, just before we get started, I would like to point out that if you would like a full written out build order and other hints and tips for this